let's say there's a talented artist listening to this and they're starting to gain traction. They're starting to get approached by people wanting to, take them to the top.
Mm-hmm.
What should that person be wary of? Are there any, what are some signs of bad or kind of parasitic managers?
Interesting question. Okay, so first thing I would do is I would look at what they've done before. And let's say it's your business-oriented friend, right? Then probably there's no track record. So in that case, you probably want to work on a 1 to 2 year deal with a commission. If it's your best friend, right, with no track record, that's probably 15% off gross profit. So if you're touring, for example, then that would not be off the gross. It would actually have travel costs and hospitality deducted, right? Because otherwise you may break even, whereas the manager makes money. And I don't feel like that's a fair deal.
No.
When it's established managers in a scenario like this, look at what they've done before. I think also you need to have them show what they can do for you before you commit to a deal. And I'll give you an example, and I obviously can't be too specific here, but we just signed an act called Drulu for management. And they are incredible. There are 2 guys from the Netherlands, 1 producer, 1 visual artist. And so producer is such great production. Percussion is so good. It's like the best you've ever heard. And then Heino does the visuals, he does 3D rendering stuff. He does post-production, like on the side, he's working on the Under Armour job, that kind of thing.
Wow.
And he's really, really good. And so they're an act that really kicked off on Bitbird, which is the label we're running with San Holo. And we're going to build them out to be the first support act for San, so San is touring massively right now. And we're going to bring them and start doing Bitbird nights and that kind of thing. And so to them, and this is how we operate, right, is we just start operating as if we're their managers whilst we're negotiating the deal. And then logically, a lot of stuff will happen. And the fact that their first record popped, it's, I think, 1.8 million on SoundCloud now, 1.5 million on Spotify. We got a sync deal with So You Think You Can Dance. And that's even before we got started, And and so in that scenario, I don't think we need to prove ourselves very much. But I think if you're looking to sign with a manager, you probably want to ask him, like, hey, I have these tracks I'm working on. Can you get me a bunch of vocalists? Can you get me in the studio with a bunch of people? I'm looking for a booking agent. And then if it's a manager who really believes in you, they'll probably start running for you even before you ink a deal. And American style management, right? Maybe gentleman's agreement, you don't sign a contract. I would 100% urge you to sign a contract, because a manager is going to be way too close to your financials not to have a deal in place.
Yeah.
And I think that is really important. And another thing I would be wary of, and this is just really maybe a bit of my own frustration, is with SoundCloud, there are a lot of collectives and there are a lot of repost channels and that kind of thing. And people who really only have the, let's say, the social impact without the business expertise. And as a result, there's a lot of young kids, 18 to 20-year-olds, who are doing some SoundCloud repost trades and et cetera, and they call themselves managers. And that may very well be the starting position where you become one. I mean, I used to be one of those, but that could also go hand in hand with some very foul practices and maybe more so towards third parties in negotiations than it is to the artist. So for example, I would do some dealings with people like that, and they literally behave like children, which then rubs off in a bad sense towards the artist, So you need to make sure that the person representing you is actually representative